Welcome in, everybody. Hey,
Good
I wonder if we're gonna beat Monday's record. There's 54 of you now. We need to get to 100 and what was it, 130 live or something?
143.
143. We're early in the night. Thanks everybody for being here. How many of you have been to another one of the Black Friday is free this year lives that we've done over the last week and 2 weeks? We've done a lot of lives now, right? They all have been training so far. This one is the first like truly open Q&A. We did Q&A at the end of the other ones, but I always had something to train on at the start. So we talked about how to get clients. We talked about how to predict your income. We talked about gear packages, pricing, all that kind of stuff. So let me know if you've been to one before. It looks like a lot of, some of you. Good mixture.
Nice.
Mike, how's it going, sir? Aiden said second time. Nice, Aiden. Which one did you catch? Which one of the lives was it? Yeah, we initially we're gonna kind of have fun and make everybody come live and then not post the recording, but then there were people that were like, it's 2 a.m. in Europe, so I will stay up, but if you don't mind, and we didn't mind. So if you missed any of the other lives, the last two are archived in there. It'll teach you how to get clients, talk through kind of some mindset stuff around getting clients, and then the other one was gear packages and pricing. So if you haven't watched those yet, they're archived. Nice, you watched the client one. That's my favorite one every time because I go back to the quote all the time, without clients, there's no company. It's the most important part of any business. Oh my goodness. Shout out to you for that. Been to everyone from Egypt at 3 a.m. Well, thanks for showing up. That's awesome. All right. Well, that being said, this one, like I said, there is no pre-planned training. This is an open Q&A. So jump in there. We're continuing the theme of Black Friday is free, meaning I have two of the coaches in here and people that I've worked with for a long time. Kenny has worked with me for about 3-4 years now. Built various businesses with me, not only our real estate photo business, but also coaching, our video editing business, and as a coach. Jared ran Norman & Young, my photo business, for the last 3 years and came over as a coach full-time this year in early 2023. So you have quite a resource, a group of resources in front of you. And so this is your chance to, for free, ask us a bunch of questions. With that being said, drop them in there and we'll get started. Yeah. What's that?
I was like, hit us up with questions. We're waiting. We got 68 people.
Someone's got some questions. I always joke that this is your chance to be selfish. I joke because it's not selfish to ask a question, but ask the question you want. If you do ask a question about Aperture, I will probably ignore it. Just keep that in mind. I want to talk more about the business side of real estate media. That's what people know me for. That's what I teach. The other stuff is so easy to learn. You can do it in a quick YouTube video. What's harder to learn is how to actually build the business. So I'd prefer questions like that, but let's see. Greg said, I started the Instagram method yesterday. Nice, Greg. Fresh at it. I got 8 responses. When people say they'll work with me, but don't say when they might have a listing, what do you respond with? That is a good thing, Greg. So right now what we have is we're going into slow season in most markets for kind of the remainder of November, December, and like maybe a little bit in January. So they're just waiting for a listing. Like they would love to have a listing for you to shoot, right? Because it's their slow season too. So ultimately, I would just respond back like, awesome. Here's my direct contact info. If you have any questions before then, let me know and I'll check back in with you in a bit or something like that. So this is a win. Like 8 responses is a big win. How many messages did you send in the last day? That's awesome.
The keyword that you said, Eli, is check back in with them. So actually do follow up with them. They're most likely going to forget, maybe not. But it's always good to keep that relationship going and just following up like, hey, I'd love to really gain your business or shoot for you and work with you. I'm really excited to get this going and just follow up with them.
Yeah. So Brandon, before I answer this, for everybody else watching, as a real estate media business owner, you need some sort of like business management platform for invoicing, scheduling, photo delivery. We used to use HD Photo Hub. We have since switched to Spiro.media. We're actually working really closely with the team and building some cool stuff out there. So that's what I'd recommend, Brandon, is going to Spiro.media. And one of the things that's cool is we're working with Todd, the owner. I'm actually a minority stakeholder in Spiro now because of all the potential I see in it. And we switched our business. The cool thing with Spiro is when you first sign up, you'll get a course sent over to you that will teach you what to do step by step. So it's a really easy setup process. So I would check that out. The website is Spiro.media. And Todd, the owner, is actually a member of our team now, the REPP team, and he's a coach for our higher earning people as we build out kind of that next level of coaching for people doing more than $50K a month. So yeah, check out Spiro. I agree. It's cool. Let's see. Spiro is, it's neither really. It's just $5 per project. So there's no base subscription. That's another thing I like about it when you're first starting. For everybody out there who's like just starting their real estate media business, you don't have to pay anything. Like you can set up the software. You only pay when you deliver a project through it. So you can get everything set up the way you want without paying. Ooh, that's a good question. Average order value of coaching. So across the board, I don't have a number. It's not something we look at because it's very market dependent. So like someone in, let's say like Kansas with an average order value of $200 or $250 is doing a really good job, right? Like that's good average order value for a lower end market. Someone in California with a $250 average order value is not doing a good job at all. And so it would be kind of a vanity metric to combine them. Or not even a vanity metric. It just wouldn't tell us much. So it's very regional. But I would say generally the minimum we shoot for is $250 if you're in a more middle market. And if you're somewhere, California, any coastal, California, Seattle, like Washington rather, if you're in Florida, if you're in New York, all the way kind of along that coast and higher end markets, you should be pushing like 350, 400. And so it's very much case by case. Speaking of coaching, if you want to get coaching from us, check out that banner below, replaunch.com/apply. If you're just starting, especially like you're doing less than 10K a month, we actually guarantee the results we get you in terms of like how much your business is going to grow. So we really put our money where our mouth is and highly encourage you to check it out. If you have a grown business, we still perform and we still have a great bunch of things that we do for you. It just depends on your goal, right? So we don't have like a one size fits all once you're doing more than 10K a month. So check out coaching. It's definitely, so I tried to build the coaching program that I wish I had when I was starting. And if I would have, I would have grown so much faster. Let's see. Oh, nice, Brandon. I mean, congrats on the first shoot, but sorry about the first reschedule. It's part of the game though. Let's see. I'm going to get a question for you, Jared, I think, and then we'll kind of round robin them around. Let's see. Actually, Mr. What? Oh, did you find one? Pin it.
Oh, yeah. The square foot versus number of photos.
Let me find it. Where is it? Oh, yeah.
So this is where me and Todd kind of, well, I don't even know if Todd does square footage. He might. I think he does more about the value of the house. I don't like square footage. I like number of photos. Give people what they're paying for. To me, square footage is very much like you going to McDonald's and going up to the thing and being like, I want chicken nuggets. And like, how much do you weigh? And that's how many chicken nuggets we're going to give you. There are things that go into it. Like in Texas, our maximum amount allowed on MLS is 40 photos. If a client has 20 photos and another client has 40 photos is going to get boosted up in the algorithm because they have more. They have the maximum amount of photos they can have in there. They have more marketing material. It's going to boost them up in the algorithm. You're doing a disservice to your clients by telling them how many photos you're going to give them. Let them pay for what they want and give it to them.
Yeah, that's our strategy. Kenny, even for you, that can you talk on like, because we talk about the Instagram method, right? And what I'm not trying to create for everybody is a second full-time job as a social media manager. So talk through this.
Yeah. So when you're first starting Instagram, we've talked a little bit about this. Like you're the brand, so no need to put any logos. Make sure that your profile is not just a bunch of houses that you've shot. It's a mixture of both houses and photos of you. And so we recommend doing the first 9 posts like that. And after that, especially when you're starting out, just leave it alone. And you asked, like, is it okay to just upload a lot at once? Yes, absolutely. Do that at once. Like, I recommend that. And then after that, just focus on client acquisition, finding the agents, engaging, and then DMing them, essentially. What I would also recommend, if you want to stay on top of your Instagram game and like engagements, post on your story at least once a day. That way you're going to be able to build connections with the people that are following you, especially the new agents that that end up following you back. And so, 9 first posts. After that, leave it alone. Just engage, follow. I mean,
you're not even. Yes, you're not even really saying post on your feed. Like, get those 9 photos in there. The story is where most of the posting should happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like if you're out on a hike, doing something on your business, doing anything really, that's the way to connect with other people that are following you as well. So yeah,
it's the person behind the business. Let's see.
Josh has a good one.
Yeah, Josh is a REPP member too. How's it going, Josh? You want to talk through this, Jared?
So schedule it. I mean, if we're training somebody on video, we schedule our trainer and the trainee on one shoot and have them go through it and just train them on site. I mean, that's the best way to do it. There's no better way to train than training through going to the shoot and doing it. That's where
just a matter
there's a lot of stuff day to day that you cannot train for, that you just kind of have to experience in this job. So trial by fire is the best way. Meet them at a shoot, train them on site.
And you don't have to do a ton, Josh, either. Like, I mean, it's just consistently doing it if they're underperforming for what you need. But the other side of it that I was going to talk to as well is your standards for what needs to be may be higher than they actually need to be. And so we see a lot of people that like say, hey, they're not ready for video because they're not at your standard level. Just make sure that that balances with your business. But like Jared said, I mean, I think a lot of times a lot of people undertrain their team. Like they just don't, they assume that they will just pick it up or they just do it. And it's like, you have to make a point to train them. And that's why I think, I don't know how many photographers you're at right now, Josh, but that's why as you hire a team, you really got to be pulling shoots off your plate. Like when we talk about hiring, we talk about it in the sense of hiring is to save time off your schedule, not let you do more shoots. So I think a lot of people hire to fulfill more shoots, which means they keep a full load on themselves. But really to properly manage anybody, if they're working 40 hours a week, it's fair to expect to still spend 10% of their workload managing them. So like if you hire someone that's working 40 hours a week, it's probably going to take you 4 hours a week of management to be doing a properly good job at it. And so that's what I would talk about.
Also keep that in mind that if you are doing what we usually, we train in our curriculum, and you have simplified the process, the training should be good. And like Jared said, just meet them at a shoot or so or two. It should go well, but just as long as you're simplifying the process.
And something that happens too, like I know somewhat your videos, Josh. I'm pretty sure they're like really high end. We do see a lot of people, in my opinion, kind of bottleneck themselves because that's what they grow to be known for. So I'm not saying that's not a good way to do that, but the question I always ask people is like, so people will start, they'll get their business 10 or 15K a month. Then they'll think that they need to really like niche down and get like fancy or something like that. Right. My question that I always ask them to think about themselves is like, could I get my business? Like, can my business grow to 100 or 150K a month like this? Or is this going to have to change? So a lot of people go down a path that it's hard to scale in because of what they've become known for. And so that's why we're big on like the workflow that we teach and trying to keep it simple, trying to keep it scalable, because our goal is not to serve those clients that really want this like perfect product. It's just not the most scalable model. Like my goal has always been to build the biggest business that I can. And so I have to look what the market wants out there, where the biggest segment of that market is, and then build a product that works for them. So that's how we look at that. And that's why we typically, and it's funny too, the bigger the real estate media business owner we talk to, the less they care about their product. It's not because they hate their business, not because they're lazy, right? It's because they know what matters. So like Todd's business is 3 or 4 times the size of Norman and Young. He has a big team, dozens of photographers, and they don't really QC very much. They pretty much just send it, right? They QC more than us, and we QC less than other people who have smaller businesses. And so it's just, I always try to go back to like, can this get me to my goal? Let's say your goal is 150K a month. I would encourage you to set a goal that kind of breaks everything for you. But let's say my goal is 150K a month. Can I get there? And are other businesses at 150K doing that? Because it's way easier to model what's out there.
Something that I love that I've learned from Todd, really, and I say this all the time, I swear, like every single live, but it's just like he treats his business as a normal business, not as a real estate photo business or media business. Because once you get into the mentality of like real estate photo or media or whatever, you start thinking like an artist. And as we all say, it's in your bio, artists are broke and business owners are not. So as long as you're treating it like just a normal business, it's going to go well.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like this question. What's that?
There's a lot asking about paying photographers.
Oh yeah, I'll pull that one up. I saw that. So I love this question because people say, what's your favorite client getting method besides the Instagram method? And the reason I like the Instagram method is because it is hour for hour invested, been proven to be the most effective. And so this is not to drag on you at all, but generally what we see is that people will be like, hey, that's the best, but like, what's the other stuff I should do? And my question is always, well, why do you want to do other stuff? Like, what's the goal here? I think there's a misconception generally, especially among new business owners, that they need to do a lot. They need to do cold calling. They need to do the Instagram method. They need to be going to brokerages. They need to be dropping off flyers because they tell you like a lot of like surface level business advice is you got to do more. But the business owners that grow their businesses know that that is the solution, doing more, but it's doing more of the same thing and becoming really good at whatever that highest leverage activity is, right? And so like when you're growing your business, there is always going to be more things than you can do. There's always going to be more things. So it's your job. And honestly, your success is dependent on your ability to find the one thing that really matters and grow that, right? And that's a concept like in a lot of business books. Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams, wrote a book called The One Thing. And he talks about this. There's a quote I like, which is your job is you have to figure out how to deploy limited resources against unlimited opportunity. So you as a business owner, even if you have a big business, still have limited resources, right? You don't have all the resources, so you have to pick. But when you're a small business, it's especially important. And that's when you're the least skilled as an operator because your business is still small, right? And so my encouragement would be for everybody, and you can kind of take this in any area of your business, do less, but focus on the things that really matter. There's a book I like, another one called Essentialism that talks about this. And the quote is do less, but better, right? And so it's not, what are all the methods we could do? Let me try a little bit of each. It's, hey, what's the best method? Let me put all of that effort, all that attention in one thing. That way, rather than getting good at a bunch of methods, some work well, some don't, you get really good at the one that works the best. And that's just, that's advice that I struggle with a lot, especially when I was first starting. When you're starting a business, you're excited, you want to pursue all these opportunities. And like, there's a lot of like, oh, business takes like hustle, and it does, but it doesn't take hustle in 1,000 different directions. That's stupid. And so I encourage you to dial in. And I know that was a more broader point than just this specific question, but in any topic, it's never do more. It's do more of less, if that makes sense. Okay. So on paying your photographers, let me find a question to pin. How much percentage do photographers have to earn? So Jared, can you talk through like how we structure our photographers and then how they're paid and why we don't do percentages?
Yeah, we don't hire contractors. We pay W-2 part-time employees. We do them hourly. We pay between $25 and $40 an hour. Every single one of our services has a set amount of time. It's a mixture of how long it actually takes to do it, and some of it is to like 40 photo package. I can shoot it in 30 minutes. Our photographers get an hour because I want them to get a fair pay out of it. But we do not do percentages.
Yeah, it's not a great way to scale a business, in my opinion. It feels easier when you're first starting, and that's why a lot of people do it because they can calculate it. They're like, oh, it's 30%. I just know that's going, but it actually ends up costing you a lot more, and it becomes less scalable as your business grows. Go for it.
I was gonna say, and it gets to a point like, especially when you're a bigger business, why should your photographer get a percentage of the virtual twilights or the virtual staging or any of that stuff that you sold on the back end that you're paying for the editing for that they had nothing to do with? Why? I mean, pay them for the work that they do like any other employee.
Yeah. Jeremy said 150K a month sounds so ridiculous. I couldn't fathom making that much. Yeah, Jeremy. So I want to talk to this a little bit because I think it's an awesome point. Something like I definitely believe. So I've told this story a lot, but like the first month that I made $4,000 as a real estate photographer, I thought I was rich. Like that was so much money to me. Most photographers barely make $1,000 a month, especially in other sides of the industry, right? So I was like, man, that's huge. And I didn't know, first of all, how much money there is out there, but second of all, how much money there is in real estate media for people that think big enough. I know that's kind of cliche to say think big enough, but I know multiple business owners personally who do way more than $150 a month or $150,000 a month as a real estate media company, multiple times that, right? And so $150,000 a month is a good sized business. And there's a statistic I love that at least for me makes me think bigger, but generally there's different categories, but generally the United States Small Business Administration, they define a small business as a business that makes less than $40 million a year. They still say 39 million a year is a small business. And it's funny because I'm going to do the math on that. 40 million divided by 12. So they say that a business making 3.3 million a month has just become a medium business. 2.5 million a month is a small business. And so the thing that Kenny said earlier that I like to always connect is like, there is not business and photo business. There's just businesses and they all can grow. Maybe some markets, there's more potential than others, but it doesn't mean, I think a lot of people get really confused with potential. You can grow not easily. No business is easy, but you can grow a 10, if not $100,000 plus a month real estate media business without getting lucky, right? You can do that. There's the market potential. I didn't believe that when I was first starting. And then quickly, once my business started going 20, 30, 40, 50K a month, I started thinking, what would it take to get to 250K a month, right? And so finally, my mindset got big enough to say, what would I have to do to get my businesses to $250,000 a month? And then I started working towards that. And so for everybody first starting, I'm not saying you set your initial first goal at $250K a month. That sounds absolutely ridiculous. And I firmly know that. But when you're first starting, think, what would I have to do? A lot of people are like, hey, it takes me 5K to quit my job. Don't think about 5K. I want you to think, what would I have to do to get to 10K? One of the first live we did was how to predict your income as a real estate photographer and how to take an amount and figure out how many shoots. And so you know that if you want to make 10K a month and your average order value, your average shoot price is $250, I'm going to divide that here. You just need to do 40 shoots a month to make $10,000 in revenue, right? And so then it becomes how many shoots per day, right? Well, there's 22 business days in a month. So you need to do less than 2 shoots per business day, not weekends, per business day to net that, right? And then you look and there's a lot of real estate photographers out there that average at least 3 shoots a day, if not average 3.5 or 4, if you do the math. And that's how real estate photographers get to 15 and 20K without hiring. And actually in coaching, we don't let is a strong word because they can do whatever they want, but we highly discourage anybody from hiring before 15K a month themselves, right? We try to push people to 18 and 20. And there are plenty of people who are able to get there by making their business more efficient. And that's awesome. If you can make $20,000 a month in revenue by yourself, your profit margin is probably 75%, somewhere in there, as long as you're not running things, in a completely messed up way. And that's 15 grand a month. That's $200,000 a year as a photographer with no employees and a lot less headaches than come with building a team. Now, I think building a team is awesome, right? I think that's a great move. I think more people should consider it. You create jobs. You learn a lot as a person. You develop as a human, you become more useful to people. That's cool. That's exciting to me. But if you don't want to, that's cool, right? I never thought, if you would have told me 20K a month as a real estate photographer without employees, I would have thought you were absolutely out of your mind. And so I wish I knew that from the start. Let me find another question here that I want to move to. You guys find any good ones?
Oversaturated markets, how to hire photographers.
Where's the oversaturated market one?
5 up from the bottom.
Oh, this is a good one. Okay. How do we want to approach this?
There's probably 2 people competing with Norman Young in the chat right now. We are coaching somebody who's competing with us. I know of at least 5 other companies in DFW that compete with us, and we have plenty of market share.
Why do you think that is?
Huh?
Why do you think? Is it just because there's so much more market? But why are we able to have people compete with us and still keep growing our business?
There's thousands of realtors. Because it does not take a lot to have a big business in this industry. There are how many 20,000 realtors in DFW?
At the minimum, I think it's more like 35.
Yeah, we have 2,000 on our client list. We have 800 active that we actively shoot for all the time. And we have a really good business. That leaves 19,000 other agents for other companies. There's just so much market share to go around.
My take on this is also agents will connect with different people in different ways. So if Eli, Jared, and I started a real estate photo business in our area and we just competed against each other, there will be clients that will like Eli more than they like me, so they'll choose Eli. And it goes the other directions as well. So just as long as you're having great customer service, you will connect with clients that like you more than the other. And not saying that their services are bad or anything. It's just the way it is. People will just connect in different ways.
And I think too, this is not picking on you directly, Jeremy, because you're asking a question. A lot of people blame. They say it's oversaturated. That's why I couldn't grow. We have yet to find a single person in coaching who couldn't grow because it was oversaturated. So it's usually a mindset thing people have. They think it's oversaturated, but they don't have any data to back that up. And so the way I, make this really clear with coaching is we guarantee people results in our coaching program, pretty significant results, depending on the person, where they're at in their business, right? And we have yet to not hit that for someone who actually put in the work. Not everybody puts in the work, right? Some people we have to really coach just to get stuff done, but we've never had somebody do the work and fail. And so in any of the markets, that's not happened yet. And so oversaturation, in my opinion, is not actually the problem. One thing we talk about a lot, people talk about competition, and my advice to everybody is your biggest competition, especially if you're doing less than 100K a month, right? Your biggest competition is up here. It's all the things you tell yourself that you think are true that aren't. It's all those thought errors, the things you believe to be true that just aren't true, holding you back. And so I picked a big number on purpose because maybe your business is getting to 100K a month and you just straight up have most of the agents in your area, right? There you go. That's a different problem. But if you're saying, hey, I make $0 or I make $10,000 a month and I think my market's oversaturated, I promise you that's not the case. But your brain is going to make a compelling case to you why it is the case to try to prevent you from your brain tries to keep you alive, right? And so it's going to keep you from doing things that are scary. And it confuses the two a lot of time, and it'll give you a lot of false beliefs and just things that don't serve you towards your growth. Yes, that someone's name is Mike. He's an awesome guy, and he's our fastest growth ever in coaching so far. So his 3rd month in was October last month, and he did, I think, was it 25 or 24? Somewhere in there. 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to just dive into this one a little bit more too. This is kind of Rock Out Media. This is going like deeper on that. So and this is something I heard from Alex Hormozy that explained it really well, which I like, is if you think about, business being a game, in any game, there's no just super strong character. Usually there's like, they have a weakness, right? And then the new characters in the game always will have some sort of strength, right? And so there is a position in each that's advantageous, right? So a big business, my business, Norman Young, we can do 25 shoots in a day. You can't when you're first starting. You physically cannot do that, right? We can have photos back pretty quickly, even if you're out shooting. You can't do that. But what I can't do that you can is I can't be the only person at my business. I can't be the person that answers the phone, that edits your photos, that goes to the shoot. So I can't provide the same service you can. And so there's always a position. And there's a quote I go back to a lot, which is big businesses try to act like they're small and small businesses try to act like they're big. Because when a business grows, they realize that it's the easiest ever when it's just you. It's so easy to run a good business when it's just you. And so that is your advantage, that you are not a massive business. You are you. You can connect with agents personally. You can be the one to fulfill the shoots for them. And that's an awesome, awesome strength to have. As far as coaching and cost goes, David, this is not because I just don't want to tell you. It really depends on where your business is at, what your goals are. Coaching is not one size fits all. It's custom. So that's why we make our advisor team available at replaunch.com/apply. You get to talk to them. It's Carl, Rod, or Philippe on my team. Those are the 3 that handle applications. And so they'll talk to you about what you're trying to do and help you come into a coaching program that's right for you. I know that sounds like I just don't want to tell you, but there's just a lot of range depending on your goals.
And just to touch on that corporate real estate, don't worry about them. Honestly, in coaching, we have you we have them go through and pick out their pricing. I tell them look at their biggest competitor, but do not consider national brands competitors. They're so easy to beat. They underpay their photographers. They have unhappy photographers that take very boilerplate photos. They have the cheapest editing they can possibly get, and their customer service is just not there. They're so easy to beat. Like Showtime Plus, not worried about them one bit at all.
Yeah. The smaller the business, the easier it is to compete. Like when you are the smaller business, the easier it is for you, right? It's always easy to compete with the bigger business. How do you determine results with coaching? Revenue growth. So
we have you track your numbers.
Track your numbers. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like you want to grow your business. Now there's other stuff that goes into that, right? Like in order to grow your business, you're going to have to develop new character traits as a person. You're going to have to push yourself. You're going to have to learn a lot of things, and you will grow as a person. That's harder to measure. Revenue, numbers don't lie, people do, and so we're really focused on revenue growth. Let's see. At what stage would you recommend hiring? No less than $15,000 a month, Andy. Preferably 18 or 20,000. I would encourage you, if I was coaching you, to really push to 18 or 20 and iron out all the systems you need to, all the efficiencies, all the automations to make it so you can do that. And that way, when you get there, you have the most efficient business possible, and we can scale off of that. Instead of scaling this inefficiency, I scaled inefficiency. I didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't have a roadmap. And so I scaled inefficiency, and I had to go fix that. And that was part of what Jared did from 2019 through 2022 is he plugged a lot of the holes in my business where he had strengths and I had weaknesses, right? And so we've learned a lot, growing our business. We've learned a lot coaching others, to the point where like I really, really encourage nobody in here to hire anybody before they're doing $18K a month. If you believe you can't get there, then you got to push yourself and you got to change your business. This is a good. First of all, what's up, Kevin? Another coaching guy there. But Kevin, thank you for this question, because I wanted to talk about kind of like the structures you grow your business. And I think this will be interesting, even if you're just starting, right? Like if you're just starting, your goal, I would encourage you for your business is to build a business that doesn't depend on you. So there's like 3 stages, right? When you first start your business, you're working in the business. So you are shooting the photos. You're actually going out and you're shooting the photos, right? And what you'll try to do is you'll spend maybe 80% of your day working in the business, or 90%, and then 10% working on it, building systems, outreach to clients, trying to build your business, right? And then that's going to shift. First, at the start, it's 90%, 10. Then as you hire a team and build, it's going to be maybe 10% in your business and 90% on your business. But then there's another stage, which is above your business. And that's when you do not operate the day-to-day of the business, right? That's what I do with Norman and Young. So Norman and Young runs without me. I'm not required for us to make revenue. I'm not required for us to grow. I could disappear for 4 months and Norman and Young would still grow. No one would need me. No one would miss me. Nothing would not get done, right? And so at that stage, I hired Jared. Now, Jared, we have another guy in place named Trent who does that same job because Jared works full-time on this team. He's still technically CEO and runs things, but either way, he's even moving out of that, right? And so then what you do is up to you. That's the cool part of building a business. You have options. So for me, I really like building my coaching business. It's exciting for me. It's kind of the next chapter. It's really fun to see people grow. That was me. Maybe, for you, Kevin, it's something completely different. Maybe you just spend time only on the one thing in your business you really enjoy because you earn that, right? Hopefully that one thing you really enjoy, you're also good at. You could start another business. You could not work as much. You could do whatever. And so that's how I think about it. I know you know a lot of that, Kevin, but that was a great question just to extrapolate on. Let's see. I'm going to find one for you.
Competitive one.
Where is it? Can you pin it? Does it let you pin it, Jared?
No, I'm not an admin. I don't think. If you want to, and this goes back to there's one above here that's like, can you be an artist and a businessman? To me, art's a hobby. It's not a business, but you can keep pricing competitive. Yeah. Typically, I say if you're better than your competition, be more expensive than them. Do not go into the market and undercut everybody. They're gonna undercut you, and then it's just a vicious cycle till no one's making money. If you're better than your competition, be more expensive than your competition.
Yeah, I mean, what are we?
Match their pricing.
What are we, top like 20% in our market in terms of pricing?
Higher than that. We just got higher. I think we're like top 10 now.
Top 10%. Yeah.
And if you're going to be an artist, if you're going to take 2 hours per shot or 3 hours per shoot, then charge accordingly. Like if you want to be an artist and you want to shoot beautiful homes and beautiful pictures with flash and masking window videos, you better be charging $3,000 for that shoot. Like charge accordingly.
Just don't confuse becoming better with making more money. That's becoming better in terms of images, right? So if you enjoy the art and that's like you get to, the great thing about starting your own business is for the most part, you control what happens and where it goes, right? Because you're deciding what clients you want to serve. And so where a lot of people go wrong is they get in, they think that their way to make more money is to be a better artist. That is tough. Really hard to build a business like that, right? And very limited in terms of how much you can scale it because then it's relying on your art. And so the place you don't want to be is in a middle ground. So like Jared said, if you're going to, do those 2-hour architectural shoots or 3, 4, 5, 6-hour architectural shoots, become an architectural photographer and charge accordingly. But just know that you're probably still going to make less than the guy who's built his business off $250 shoots doing 4 or 5 a day per photographer. So it's not the money decision at that point. You decided you wanted to do that. But they generate, like, knowing this is important. They do go against each other. And to the extent which you can let go of that artist side for your business is the extent you'll grow. Now, if you find a balance and if your goal is only to make $6K a month or $8K or whatever it is net, awesome. Like you could probably do that. But I think it's dangerous to go into a business with the worst of both. So like you don't want to have the low pricing of run and gun real estate media like we do in the timeframes of a high-end architectural shoot. That's a recipe for disaster.
I love when people tell me we have standards, like hobbies have standards, businesses have baselines.
This is a good question. Rockout Media said, if you had a time machine, what's something you'd do differently in early stages of business development to be more successful earlier? I wish I would have known, this is not something I could have, but like if I could just have a time machine, I would have the most up-to-date version of the Instagram method when I was starting instead of having to like kind of piece it together. That would be one. I would make a lot of different decisions around hiring. When I hired, who I hired, when I fired, I would have been much more focused on getting my business to a higher level before I hired each person. I would have been more focused on profit rather than just revenue growth. It's like fun to chase like the revenue, right? Because that's your big top line number. Like I literally framed my first 50K month. I was so excited. And that's awesome, right? Like you're never going to make 20K a month if your business makes 15K in revenue. You're never going to make 20K profit, right? But it's really easy to build a 50K business that only makes 10K a month in profit, right? And so I would have focused trying to get that 50 to more like 25. It happened in some months, in the summer months, but then in the winter months, I'd pay it back, And so I'd focus more on profit. It's a couple things. Let me find another one here that I want to pull up. Let's see. This is a good one just from Kevin again. Kevin's built a great business. too. So 20K a month plus, crushing it. This year he started his business. Just a quick shout out for you, Kevin. Let's see.
We like Kevin.
Mike said I'm willing to move. Oh, go for it, Kenny.
I was just saying we like Kevin.
We do. Kevin earned his success, and that's always admirable. Mike said, I'm willing to move. How do I tell if a market is good? I saw your Redfin example. If I recall, it's 62 houses sold in the last month. But how about competition and population density? Competition, don't even worry about it. It doesn't tell you anything. I mean, population density also is important, but it's not. So like the more dense the population, yeah, there's less miles you might have to drive, but there could be more traffic. So here's my take on this. A smaller market, maybe 100,000 people, is going to be faster to get your name out there and like get started. It's going to have less overall potential. Whereas a bigger market can be a little hard to grow in. I wouldn't overthink it too much, honestly, Mike. Just don't move to an area where there's less than 50,000 people in a 1 hour radius, right? And then everything else of that should be like, do you want to live there, right? Maybe, you know, to me, it's a hard decision to make. But as long as there's 50,000 or more people in a 1 hour radius, like the general baseline of the market will work.
And if you can get somewhere where it's sunny all year round, that's always great.
Yeah. The more north you go, the slower the off season, which is true. And you freeze. So that's not fun. And there's bears, which is also not fun when you're shooting outside. Let's see. Yeah. Jeremy said moving to South Dakota. There's some big cities there that I think there's a lot of good market potential in. Define a bad client and when to fire. You want to talk about this a little bit, Kenny? What is your perspective on this?
I mean, my perspective is like, I've fired a few clients in my own company, but and the way to do it is by just telling them, like, you become the victim and you're just like, hey, I don't think I'm working out for you, and I truly apologize for that. Here are a few recommendations that I do. But before that, I think something that Eli taught me is to just, like, change your mindset and find a way that you can fix whatever that client is doing. I don't think every client is bad. They're just not educated the way that you'd like them to be. So like maybe there's just like a miscommunication, and that's why I always recommend, you know, connect with your client, talk with them. Like if you're not, maybe they're getting mad at you for something that, you know, it just needed a few like they don't know what they don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So I think communication, it starts off with communication and just seeing like where that disconnect happens and then go from there. I don't know. I mean, like defining a bad client.
That's a good perspective. I thought that was great. I mean, generally the photographers that we've seen grow their business, the people who fire the most clients have the smallest businesses. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because when they run into an issue, they think, oh, the client's the problem, let me get rid of them. Whereas like the whole skill really in being a business owner and being an entrepreneur is like, it's a test of creativity, right? And so the way I liked Kenny's way to think about it is like, and I told Kenny this the other day, actually, when we were talking about an issue in video editing business. I was like, see if you can win the client back. So like when you get a client who's very unreasonable, or they're very mad at you for no reason, or you messed up, or whatever the reason is, you're ready to fire them. I would encourage you to, instead of firing them, use it as an opportunity for you to see how good you are at mending a relationship. Worst case scenario, that they still don't work with you, right? Best case scenario, you learn something. And so I always, you know, we didn't really start being more selective with our clients until we were well above 50K a month. And I think that's why we got there pretty quickly, because we didn't resort to getting rid of a client. We said, how could we keep this client? What would we have to do? How can we fix this relationship? And so for me, at least, it helped me be a lot more creative at dispute resolution or figuring things out. And that is a skill you need as a business owner, right? And so I don't think, just generally, unless the client's like dangerous or unsafe, you know, I don't think you should ever fire a client if you're less than 10 grand a month. I don't think I think it's foolish, right? I think you don't know if you should fire a client yet, because it could be you that's the problem. And my business now, yeah.
I was gonna say, take it as like my business at a point that if we lose a client, it's not gonna affect me financially at all. But like the fact that they're angry, I'm just like, okay, you know, I'm gonna take care of it, not have my VA do it. And so I try to like please them as much as I can. And, you know, whether they want to continue using us or not, that's up to them. But at least I know that I put in my good effort in there, and they're not going to talk bad about my company or me. They're just going to be like, hey, they resolved my problem. Maybe we're just not a great fit, and that's okay. And honestly, that's totally fine. But as long as you don't burn a bridge, yeah, you shouldn't really fire any clients.
You remind me of the DJ Khaled quote, don't burn no bridges, can't walk on water. So one thing I want to add to that too is is kind of a framework or a thing to think about. When you like, let's say in this scenario, you get a client who emails you who's just outrageously off base, right? They're like all these issues and all this stuff. You could tell them off in the email, right? And if you did that, you'd probably feel pretty good. You'd be like, I showed them, right? Or you could suck it up, be very nice, explain yourself. I'm not saying you have to like, take a loss here, but I'm saying like, hey, your email could be, hey, I'm so sorry this didn't come out the way you wanted. Here's what I'm going to do to fix that. I totally understand if that's not right for you. I'm not going to feel very happy that I have to send that email, right? And so my framework is if you feel real good about the email, like you showed them, you paid for that. You paid for it with a piece of your business. The other side, if you don't feel great, chances are the client's probably going to feel good and you didn't pay for it with your business. And you don't build a big business by giving chunks of it away every time you have an emotion. And so the thing that is very true, and I've seen this in my own business, my own life, and with the business owners that I meet, because as your business grows, you get to meet people who also have larger businesses. And it is a direct correlation where the smaller the business, the more emotional the owner is. The bigger the business, the less emotional the owner is. And you have to, like, one of the things that I tell myself constantly, because you're all going to feel, everybody feels emotion. It's just reaction to it, right? So literally, scientifically, when you have heightened emotion, both negative or positive, your IQ drops. So if that doesn't sum it up in like the most clear way, I don't know what does, right? Like that literally shows you that when the more emotional you are, negative or positive, the lower IQ you have. I don't want to be making decisions in my business from a state of lower IQ than I could be. And so I think what happens as you grow your business is, first of all, you realize that issues are not personal attacks on you. Your business is not your identity, right? It's a separate thing. You got to treat it as an asset. And when you start doing that, and you also just, if you know that emotions are going to cause you to trade a part of your business to feel good, you stop making that trade because you don't want to get rid of your business. And so it just gives you a framework. Like anytime you have emotion, positive or negative, you're going to make a stupider decision. And your goal is not to make yourself feel positive. Like that's not how you grow a business, right? Sometimes it takes doing the hard thing. When people say it's not easy to build a business, it's because you have to go against your own emotions sometimes and just suck it up. And so,
it sucks in the beginning, sending something that you don't want to, like, you rather tell off the client, and that doesn't feel good because your ego's telling you like, oh no, you're supposed to be the bigger person in that bad sense. But you start feeling good once the client realizes like, oh shoot, like this person's actually trying to help me, and then they start becoming nice. You're like, dang, I did it. Like I got that client back, or that client isn't pissed off. Like that's a better feeling than just telling them off, in my opinion, at least.
And my favorite thing, I guess Jared talked about this. What happens every time we very, very kindly send a client a list of other photographers? What usually happens?
They drop their standards or whatever they had a problem with, and they're fine after that. Or they go try somebody else, and then they come back a month later.
And
Like,
and they're
I think I've only
great
had one that I fired that is not. No, they did come back. They came back for one shoot, and then they kept using their other photographer. But they use this every now and then.
It's
but
just so funny.
only
They
had
drop
one.
the attitude. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually they drop the attitude.
It's a beautiful thing. And it goes back to like generally, like if you just seem desperate that you need the business, like it's gonna be hard to get it, right? And so when you fire a client and you're all, you hey, yeah, absolutely. Here's a list of competitors. Like, do you feel do they think you're desperate? No. They're like, oh, am I the problem? Because it's such a weird way to react, to be all friendly and like it's a weird thing for a business to give a list of competitors unless they really believe in their service, right? And we really believe in our service. And so when we give a list of competitors, try them, right? Like we're not like, I don't want you to know about our competitors. I don't even want you to look. Like try them and then come back, right? And so I think that creates a sense of where the client who's the problem, which is a very small group of clients, but they come back and they're like, oh shoot, maybe I'm actually the issue. And that's a beautiful thing when that happens. Is 12K by the 6th month of coaching realistic? It is realistic if you put in the work. If you don't, and you expect a bunch to happen. 12K, I mean, a lot of people hit 12K by the 6th month of coaching. It's not everybody. It's less than half, I would say, but a good portion do. And it's usually not all the way at the 6th month either. So yeah, I mean, realistic if you are realistic about what it's going to take to get there. And, as coaches, we always mirror your energy. Like if you just have goals of getting to 4K a month, we'll push you for what it takes to get to 4. And if you're like, I want to blow up, awesome. You're going to have to do a lot though, right? Like you're going to have to grow your business quickly. But yes, it is. Let's see. Yes, this is such a big one too. So someone else said this, but if you incorrectly or without skill fire a client, they become a bad mouthing like megaphone, right? And negative is so much stronger than positive when it comes to referral growth. And so if you have one client, trashing you, that's probably as good as 10 clients that are, telling people that you're a good fit. And so it's very important not to let that one client who irritated you cost you clients. Because then, you just paid for that with your business. And the beautiful thing about real estate media is they all network together. So if they like you, you grow really fast. And that's what we lean into. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I shop on Amazon. I don't look at the 5-star reviews. I look at the ones.
And if they seem realistic, you're like, I'm not buying that.
There can be 1,000 5-star reviews. And if 3 1-star reviews say the same thing, I'm moving on.
Naples Real Estate Media, email us at hello@repteam.com, and Ariane on our support team will help you out ASAP. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for being here tonight, everybody. We're getting on the 45-minute mark. I think we're about to go start our group Thanksgivings. Group Thanksgiving is probably not the best word. We're all about to disperse to our different Thanksgivings. So for everybody that's been watching what's that?
I was talking a lot of driving tomorrow.
Oh, goodness. Kenny's like, I ain't got no driving. Either way, thanks for being here. For everybody who's been to the past few live trainings on YouTube, we've had a lot of fun doing these. So thanks for that. If you haven't grabbed a slot to talk about coaching and you're serious about real estate media and you want to go full time, you don't have to quit your job now. But if your goal is to go full time, highly encourage you to go to that link down there, scrolling across the bottom, replaunch.com/apply. You'll talk with Carl, Rod, or Philippe on my team. And they'll break down exactly what coaching would look like for you, talk with you about your goals. For those who have talked with them, they usually give great reviews because they're good at making you think about what you want. So encourage you to do that. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy some time out of the normal day-to-day and enjoy your families or whoever you're spending this time with. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Jared, Kenny, thank you guys for the help tonight. We will see you all on Friday for another free training. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you later.
See you all later.